Hi, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today is all about setting the timbre, the tone, not only for our practice, but for the remainder of our day. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify when you need to, take a rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to begin today's practice coming into a supported seat on a block. Make your way down. Think of tucking into easy sit, but wedge that block right underneath your bottom so it almost feels like you're rolling the weight forward onto your knees. Sit up nice and tall. And if you don't have a block, you could maybe modify with a pillow or two. Find a nice, comfortable, tall seat. Close your eyes, take your focus in, and start to just feel the in and out of your breath. Feeling the rise and fall of your chest. Trying to inhale and exhale exclusively through your nose. Then start to think of the expansion of your rib cage, trying to open up laterally towards the side of your rib every time you inhale. Think of growing your ribs out to the side. Then add a little bit more opening, breathing into not only the sides of your ribs, but into the breastbone as well, so that you're opening up in 3 dimensions. Then add the 4th dimension, breathing into the back, into the spine every time you inhale. So now you're opening up in 4 dimensions. Opening up the ribs as widely as you can on the inhale, and then just allowing them to fall in on the exhale. Then maybe using this opportunity to begin playing with a little bit of an ujjayi breath, constricting the glottis slightly, both on the inhale and the exhale, so that you start to make an almost ocean-like wave on both the inhale, but more forcibly on the exhale. And while you're starting to make that audible sound, that ujjayi sound, still trying to keep that same timbre, that same tone of opening up the ribs in 4 dimensions on the inhale, and then letting it fall in, letting the exhale happen almost passively. Make this your last conscious round of ujjayi breath, and then gently begin to flutter open your eyes and change the cross of your leg. Sitting up nice and tall, let's begin to gently release into the neck, starting to trace an almost yes-like nod, alternating between dropping the chin down towards the chest and then peeking it gently up towards the ceiling. The whole time keeping your shoulders softly melting away from your ears. End with the chin line parallel to the floor and start to trace a gentle no pattern through the head, peeking over one shoulder at a time on the exhale and using the inhale to transition between the two. End with your chin line parallel to the floor and then start to use the tip of your nose to trace a small clockwise circle. As if you were using your nose to maybe trace the circumference of a small marble, maybe you even working as big as a golf ball. And then let's trace in the opposite direction, moving anti-clockwise. Come to stillness and start to shrug the shoulders towards the ears and away from the ears. Still inhaling and exhaling gently through the nostrils. End in a drop pattern away from the ears and then start to trace an alternating forward stroke through the shoulders, moving one shoulder at a time. Then maybe move into a backstroke-like motion. Just keeping the arms soft and the hands just gently connected to the tops of your thighs. Come to stillness, float both hands behind you, and if you can, interlace them gently. It either could be a loose interlace or maybe you're working more of an active fist, and you're going to raise the hands towards the ceiling and away. If fisting and bringing the hands together is not an option, just gently raise the hands alternatively towards the ceiling and away from the ceiling. Come to stillness. Unravel your legs and plant your feet on the mat in front of you. Sit up nice and tall and start to twist gently to one side, grabbing opposite hand to knee. Inhale, come back to the middle. Find an alternating pattern for a few rounds. Watch that your knees are not falling out. So the whole time, pretend that you're holding a soft soccer ball between the two knees. And you need to keep a gentle but active press into the ball so that it doesn't fall to the ground. End twisted to the left. Keep pulling in with your hand and resisting with the knee. And then take the right leg, disengage it from the floor and reach for the wall in front of you and hold the twist and the extend. Inhale, come back to center and find your alternating twist pattern for a few rounds. Exhaling for the twist, inhaling, coming back to center, and the whole time trying to maintain a tall sense of seat where it feels like you've got a long reaching trunk. We're going to end rotated to the right, hold the twist, keep it active, disengage the left foot from the floor and reach your toes for the wall in front. Find your way back to center. Place your fingertips gently on the floor and start to drag your heels so that you're extending the legs and then bend and ground. Give yourself a few rounds of alternating, bending and extending the legs. And if you find it too difficult to do both legs together, you could maybe find an alternating single pattern, bending one leg at a time. So do what feels good for you. Set your timbre, set your tone. Then think about this bend and this extend pattern, and we're going to try to replicate it from a boat line. Let's bend and ground, then tip the weight just off the tailbone so it feels like you're hanging off your block. Readjust your bottom if you need to. Raise the legs up into maybe a tabletop line and then extend to drop a little bit and bend to tuck back in. Give yourself a few rounds. End in your bend. Place your hands on the floor behind you and see if you can press up into a gentle tabletop stretch. Reground. Sit up nice and tall. Hug your shins in towards your chest. Let's do that 4 more times. Find your way into a modified table. Thinking belly to sky, trying to even out the weight between the feet and the hands. Then take your seat. Walk your way back up. Sit up nice and tall. Squeeze those knees. 3 more to go. Just setting a gentle timber that works for you. Finding your table, pausing for a few seconds, squeezing those glutes, and then finding your way back to the block to sit up nice and tall and stretch through the spine. Last one, and then we're going to change our orientation and we're going to find our way to 4-point kneeling. So after your last tall seat, feed the block out from underneath your bottom. Take a swivel on the mat. Keep the block in one hand. You're going to find a 4-point kneeling frame on the mat. Let's grab hold of the block in the right hand. You're going to float up into a little T-frame, and then we're going to work a modified thread, sliding the block through, trying to keep a nice long tabletop line through the neck and the spine as you feed that block through. Reaching with the tip of the block as if you were trying to tap the wall at the opposite end of the room. Last one. Place the block gently one side, but make sure that it's accessible. Place your hands on the mat and start to find your way into a cow front. Thinking of making your chin and your bum bones reach for the sky, arching through the spine, and then holding here for a few counts without collapsing into the shoulders. So trying to keep that space between the 2 shoulder blades nice and open. And give yourself a few generous breaths into the front of your ribs. Then inhale, find your way into a neutral long tabletop stretch with a long line through the neck and the spine. Your gaze down on the mat between the 2 thumbs. Then on an active exhale, find your way into a cat stretch, thinking hollow belly, rounded back. Find the back of your ribs and breathe as deeply as you can into the back of your ribs. On an inhale, find your way to a neutral long tabletop stretch, Parmanasana, and then start to play dynamically above and below your tabletop line in a working cat-cow. Finding the breath ratio that resonates with you. So you set your tone. Maybe you're working at a 1-to-1 ratio, maybe at a 1-to-2 ratio, favoring either the cat or the cow. Make the cat-cow your own. Then end in a neutral line, looking for that long tabletop through the neck and the spine. Slide the right arm out as far as it will go, but keep your fingertips gently connected to the mat and replicate that stretch with the left leg. In a sliding fashion, we're going to slide our extended limbs back to hovering in table and then extending them again. So you're working a bend and an extend action through the limbs, the working limbs, that is. Keeping that long tabletop line throughout, so your gaze stays down on the mat just to the side of your grounding thumb. In back in extension and hold. Then bleed your way from here to a high kneeling frame on the mat. You can place your hands on your hips. We're going to take a little lunge step forward with the left leg, being mindful to stack the knee and the ankle in one long line. You're going to begin with a neutral spine, and we're going to do 5 gentle but controlled pelvic tilts. Tilting up towards the 12 o'clock position so that you can feel the lower back lengthen and the abs gently contract, then releasing back into neutral. Give yourself 5 active tilts. End in the tilt and hold it. Relax your left arm alongside the body and start to drop and come back 5 times. The whole time trying to keep a gentle echo of that tilt in place. Then start to add a drop and a reach for 5. Now let's add an overhead arc with the other arm. And in the arc and reach, either keeping your low lunge or translating this into a full Eve stretch by tucking the toes of your back foot under and bringing the knee up off the floor. Hold your high lunge steady, keeping the arc and the reach in place. Then bleed your way gently back into a high kneeling frame, finding a fisted arm position behind your back. Gently start to curve into camel, thinking of bumping your hips forward over your knees, feeling the stretch into the top of your thighs, into the lower belly. Nice, beautiful cow-like stretch through the back. Shoulder blades coming together, chest opening up generously. Then undo your camel. Relax your arms heavy at your side. We're going to tuck up the toes under. We're going to press off the mat, coming into a forward fold and fisting the hands once more behind us, thinking knuckles to sky, crown heavy to the floor. Then let's start to play dynamically. Undo your hands, place them on your hip creases. You're going to bend your knees and you're going to come into a little V or a butterfly, a haunch line on the mat. With your heels together, you're on the weight of your toes and the knees are looking out. Then peel back up, coming into a V stand, either keeping your heels off the floor or planting them on the floor if you need to. You're going to start to play dynamically with a little butterfly haunch and a modified V stand, giving yourself maybe 5 oscillations between a low to the mat position and a high to the mat position. Looking for balance, looking for control, finding a timbre that resonates with you. Maybe ending in the butterfly haunch position, looking for balance and control and seeing if you can bring your hands into a lotus mudra, thinking heels of your palms connected, pinkies connected, thumbs connected, and the rest of your fingertips open and receptive to all the universe has to offer. Pause here for a few moments, look for balance, look for control, look for stillness. Then bleed your way from here back to a 4-point kneeling position on the mat, reaching for your block. We're going to thread on the opposite side. So you're going to do a little T open to the sky and then a little thread through. Keeping a long tabletop line through the body as you play dynamically, using the block to reach through as if you were using the tip of the block to tap the wall at the opposite end of the room. Playing with a little bit of gentle thoracic rotation, keeping belly to spine throughout. Then place the block gently on the floor. Make sure that it's accessible for when you need it. Find your way into 4-point kneeling and start to arch through the spine, finding your way into a cow stretch, and just hold steady once you've found it. Thinking chin and bum bones to sky, but not collapsing between the two shoulders. Breathe as deeply as you can into the front of your ribs and hold your cow frame. Then ease your way into a neutral long tabletop stretch, keeping your gaze down on the mat between the two thumbs and just stretching the entire length of your neck and your spine. Keep your fingertips open nice and wide. Round out into a cat stretch and hold it, looking for the back of your ribs and breathing into it on each inhale. Ease your way back into a long tabletop stretch. And then start to play in Chakravakasana, alternating between the cat and the cow frame and starting to find the timbre, the breath timbre that works for you. Alternating between finding the front and the back of your ribs as you play. Looking for that alternating contraction of your abs and then the relax of your abs. Find your way back into a long tabletop line. Slide the left arm up, slide the right leg out. Reaching as long as you can through the fingertips and the toes of your extended legs and arm. And then start to work a little slide pattern, pulling your way or sliding your way back into 4-point kneeling, keeping your working limbs gently just skimming off the top of your mat, holding a belly to spine position throughout. End in extension and hold. Lead your way back to 4-point kneeling and then walk your way to a high kneeling frame with your hands just gently connected to your hips. Take a little lunge step forward on the right. Begin in neutral and then give me 5 controlled pelvic tilts. End in the tilt and try to hold it as you start to find a drop down pattern with the right arm for 5. Then start to find a drop and a reach for 5 on the right. Then start to add an overhead arc with the left arm, the whole time trying to keep an echo of that gentle pelvic tilt in place. Just find your rhythm, set your tone, set your timbre. Try to end in the arc and the reach. Keep your lunge low or find a high lunge line by bringing that back knee off the mat, coming into a full eve stretch. Then reconnect gently to the mat, finding your way into a fisted camel, And if the fisted line is not working for you, maybe just supporting your lower back and coming gently into Ustrasana, camel. Then maybe this round, trying to keep the hands fisted behind your back as you tuck the toes under and find your way into a forward fold. If you need to transition by opening up the hands to find your way into the forward fold with a gentle fist behind, then do so. Then start to straighten up. Place your hands on your hips. Set up a small Pilates V. Start to bleed your way down into a little haunch line, a butterfly haunch line, and then a standing V line, either keeping your heels floating off the floor throughout as you play high and low to the mat, or maybe you'd like to alternate between grounding the feet, grounding the heels that is rather, and then ungrounding. So just do what works for you. End in your little butterfly haunch line and find your way into Lotus Mudra. Pause. Look for balance, look for control as you find a little Padmasana, Lotus Mudra. From here, we're going to find our way into some down dog play. So when you're ready, walk your way into a down dog frame. Once you've found the frame, start to lift both heels off the mat and drop them down. So you're working both legs in unison while holding that soft pike-like position through the body. Then take the right leg, cross it behind the left, and play with that heel lift again for maybe 5 more rounds. Trying to find a nice drop down pattern on the left heel. End in the drop and hold. And then see if you can find your way from this one-legged down dog into a warrior 2 position, leading with the right leg in front. So as you uncross the right leg, you take a big lunge, step forward to the inside of the right hand. You open up the back foot to 90 and you windmill your arms open, tapping the wall behind you and the wall in front. Wiggle, walk your legs further apart if you can, and watch that you're not leaning into the warrior. So try to keep your weight bearing equal and coming down centered through the pelvis. Hold Virabhadrasana 2, looking for an almost long stretching reach line through the arms and the legs. Then translate your warrior into a side angle by relaxing the right elbow to the right thigh and giving me a nice overhead stretch on the left, bringing that left arm as close to your ear as you can and trying to open up as generously as you can through the left side of your ribs. We're going to translate this side angle into a wide triangle stance by just straightening up the lead leg, either placing your right palm on your right shin or finding purchase on the inseam of your lead leg, or you could do fingers to floor. We're working an extended triangle, so you're still trying to keep that top arm as close to your ears as you can. Then find your way into a goddess leg line, thinking plie, fist the hands behind your back and hold your goddess. Trying to think of finding an echo of that pelvic tilt. So it feels like you're bringing your tailbone in and curling it in towards your belly button. Then straighten up the legs and find your way into Prasarita, maybe keeping that fisted arm position and thinking crown to floor. Then undo the hands, reach for your block. You're going to come into Skandasana from here. So we're going to bend the right leg and we're going to take that block We're going to use it as a little seat, and we're going to find a gentle skandasana, bending the right leg, extending the left, taking a little seat, and then trying to find our way back into lotus mudra. And we're going to actively use the right elbow to press the inside of the knee on the bent side. Hold. Take a few breaths here as you hold your modified skandasana, modified low side lunge. From skandasana, we're going to find our way into a plank hold. So with as much elegance as you can muster, you're going to feed the block out from underneath you, place it on the side, and then step back and come into a high plank line, keeping your body line as parallel to the mat as you can. We're going to hold steady for a count of 10. Try to have your hands nice and open on the mat. Try not to collapse into the mat. We're going to ease our way from here into a modified child. Think big toes coming together, knees softly spread out. As you push back, you're going to reach for the block. You're going to press off your elbow tips and you're going to squeeze the block into the two hands in a wide prayer-like position through your hands. Relaxing your forehead to the mat so that you're gently activating into your third eye, and you're keeping an active hand press into your block so that you can feel the arms, you can feel the shoulders, you can feel the wrists, you can feel the hands. Start to think of your first breath pattern that you found on the mat when you were breathing as deeply as you can into the ribs. Then try to open up your ribs in 4 dimensions. Maybe even finding a soft echo again of that active Ujjayi breath. Finding a soft ocean-like wave sound on both the inhale and the exhale by slightly constricting the glottis. Then gently feed your way out, placing the block gently one side where you can reach for it when you need it. You're going to bleed your way into a down dog pattern. And once you've found the pattern, you're going to begin dynamically lifting and lowering both heels off the mat at the same time so that the feet are working in unison. Keeping a nice high pike position throughout. Try to end in the drop-down pattern. Take the left leg, cross it behind the right, and then find that working heel lift again on the right side only. Try to end in the drop-down and hold. And then think about how you're going to find your way into a warrior 2 from here, leading with the left leg in front. Take a lunge step forward. Open up the back foot to 90, windmill your frame open, tap the wall behind you, tap the wall in front, and then settle into your warrior. Think about the weight distribution through your pelvis. Try to keep your arms nice and parallel to the floor. So take a look back and check that you're not dropping that back arm. Look for strength as you settle and hold Virabhadrasana 2. Then translate your warrior into a side lunge by finding a drop-down pattern on your left thigh and bringing the right arm as close to your ear as you can, breathing as deeply as you can into the right side of your ribs. Morph your extended side angle into an extended triangle. Setting your timbre, setting your tone. From here, you're going to find your way into Goddess, bringing the two hands together behind your back. And if that's not happening, maybe just place your hands on your hips and work on modified goddess. So you're thinking plie line through the legs. Find a soft echo of that pelvic tilt so it feels like you're curling your tailbone in towards your belly button line. Then straighten up, square up through the legs. Fold through a tabletop line, making your crown heavy to the floor and keeping that fisted position. So you're thinking knuckles to sky. You could work with open hands as well, or you could keep those hands on your hip creases throughout, if you like. From here, we're going to find our way back into Skandasana. So you're going to place your fingertips on the mat. You're going to think low lunge. So the left leg is going to bend this time. We're going to extend the right. We're going to take the block. We're going to fashion a little seat for ourselves. And then we're going to bring the two hands together in prayer or in a little lotus line with an active press of the left elbow into the inside of the left knee. Give yourself a few quiet moments in your Skandasana seat. Then lead your way from here into a plank line, pausing once you've found it. Holding steady, Kumbhakasana plank. Then we'll come into our working child rest. Think knees, shins, feet to floor. You can find a soft, almost V-like pattern through the legs. Reach for the block. Start to squeeze it actively between the two palms as you gently press off your elbow tips so that you're feeling a nice little bit of stretch into the triceps. You're feeling work into the arms, the shoulders, the hands. Keep that active squeeze into the block. Then place your block one side. We're going to do a gentle flip over and a gentle fall back onto the back. Coming into some active breath work here. You could elect to keep your legs bent, or you could work with an extended and relaxed leg line. Placing your right hand to come gently over your belly and your left hand just gently connected to your chest. Close your eyes. Take your focus inward as we start to find an active belly breath. Inhaling through your nose and trying to dome your belly up towards the sky. And then on the exhale, allowing the belly to fall heavy towards the mat. Your right hand will gently feel that rise and fall of your belly. And your left hand is your control hand. Trying to keep the chest as still as possible while you take your breath into the belly and not into the chest. Keep your eyes closed and your focus inward facing and set the breath timbre that works for you. Maybe you've got an equal inhale, exhale timbre. Maybe you're electing to favor either the inhale or the exhale and holding more of a 1-to-2 ratio. Find what resonates with you. And then starting to migrate into more of a relaxed, neutral breath pattern. Start to gently find your way into corpse pose, allowing the feet to splay out, relaxing the arms splayed out alongside the body, and starting to settle the whole weight of your body into the mat as you just allow for a neutral inhale and exhale breath pattern. Looking for a relax, a release, and a melt of your body into the mat on each exhale. Make sure that you've got no tension in the feet. Allow them to splay out. No tension in the hands, allowing your fingers to curl in a neutral position so that there's no tension at all in the fingers, in the hands, or the wrists. Maybe even looking for a soft, almost ujjayi exhale that's allowing you almost a sighing or a release into the mat each time you exhale. Find the timbre, the tone of breath that works for you. Making sure you're using the exhale to find a release and a relax into the mat. Then take a big breath in, and on your next exhale, just allow the head to flop off center to one side. Looking for a little release into the neck. Then inhale, bring your chin back to neutral. And exhale, find a drop pattern to the second side. Inhale, come back to neutral. And then when you're ready, and in no rush at all, you're going to ease your way into a little fetal pose. Maybe bending your knees, grounding your feet for a moment. And then rolling over, preferably onto the left side of your body. Maybe you're using your bottom arm as a little pillow as you find a soft fetal tuck, Parsvadharmasana, and just pause here for a few moments, keeping a resonance of that softness, that relaxed body, that relaxed breath as you find a little fetal tuck. And then when you're ready, and in no rush at all, you're going to find your way into a supported seat that maybe mimics the first seat that we played with on the mat. So maybe you want to come into thunderbolts, or maybe you want to come back into a modified sukhasana, easy sit, or maybe it's more of a siddhasana. And maybe this time, if you are coming into Siddhasana, maybe you're taking the top foot and you're tucking it between the calf and the thigh of the bottom leg. You're going to find a nice tall seat, maybe bringing your hands into Lotus Mudra or Prayer Mudra, closing your eyes, taking your focus inward. Think about the intention of today's class, which was centered around the word timbre. Set your timbre, your tone, each day. Remember that bold resolutions, huge decisions, and big proclamations are not necessary. All you really need is the sweet intention to take each moment as it comes, without judgment. With those thoughts resounding within, Let's end off today's practice by pressing the two palms together, finding a prayer mudra, and ending our practice on the words Om Shanti. Peace within, peace without. Thank you so much for coming out and playing today. Hope we've set the timber for the remainder of your day. Till next time, keep it light.